What is up, my friends? Welcome to Flippin' Bats. It is John Smoltz Day here on the show, where every single week the Hall of Famer from the Atlanta Braves sits down with us to talk what is happening around the game of baseball. Remember, Flippin' Bats is presented by FanDuel. Bet baseball with us all season long on America's #1 sports book. And this week with John, what we're going to do is talk about the series he called up in Boston over the past weekend with the Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox, what he saw there, and with the Atlanta Braves. What do you think after seeing him? Are the 2025 Atlanta Braves a playoff team? And then on Tuesday, Spencer Strider made his return, and it wasn't pretty, nor would I expect it to be pretty. His return from a big arm injury, then a quick IL stint from a hamstring injury. So, from a Hall of Famer's perspective, how did he look? Will Spencer Strider be okay? Can he pitch at this velocity? What's it like coming back from big injuries? All of that stuff. But excited to talk about Strider with John Smoltz. Then we're going to talk Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who is having a phenomenal year. Really good last year, phenomenal this year. What's been, from his perspective, from John's perspective, what's been the big difference from year one to year two? And could we see him winning his first Major League Baseball Cy Young Award? And lastly, power rankings. We're about a quarter of the way through the year. If John Smoltz were to sit down and put together power rankings, who's in the #1 spot? We're going to talk about that. And this is a fun show for you. So if you're not following, subscribing, please, wherever you're listening, make sure you do hit that follow, subscribe button. It really does help. And if you're watching, you can watch on our YouTube channel at Flippin' Bats Pod is our YouTube channel there. Like, subscribe the video, leave a comment. I love hopping in the comments and talking to you guys. But please, wherever you're listening or watching, hit that follow, subscribe, like button. It all really does help. But without further ado, as we do every single week here on Flippin' Bats, let's welcome in the Hall of Famer from the Atlanta Braves, John Smoltz. All right, and I am pumped to be joined, as we are every single week, by the Hall of Famer, John Smoltz. John, how are we doing this week?
We're doing good. I got one more daughter at the end of this week getting married, so that's one less stressful thing to get through, but it's going to be an exciting week.
That's awesome. Congratulations, and congratulations to her as well. I want to talk about Braves Red Sox because you were up there. You were on the call for that game in Boston. So let's start there. How was that series? What stood out to you from that series?
Two teams desperately needing to get on a roll. Two teams that are stuck in neutral. I think Boston is better than what they're playing. They've lost a ton of one-run games. Ironically, the game I did, they come back and win a one-run game. The Braves have played now 21 run games. So both teams are stuck in that trend that you just wouldn't, and you don't want to rely on either way. You don't want to play a ton of those games. I know people have had success in the past, like historic one-run records. That's just not a good trend to live by. I mean, eventually you want to have some breathing room. But I thought the Braves rebounded nicely the next day, but they've had this up and down kind of ever since getting to 500. They've got one game over, and then they get right back to 500.
After talking about the Braves for a lot of the time to start the year, really slow start, then seeing them in person, are the 2025 Atlanta Braves a playoff team?
They are, in my mind, if they do a couple things. They've got to shore up their pen. They've got to figure out those guys that they can depend on. When you lose those many low run, one-run games, it comes down to a pitch here, a ball in play there. I still maintain that Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to be such a difference maker if he gets 30 to 60% increasing his ability to play closer to 90%, right? He's got to work his way into what kind of player is he going to be. I still think there's concerns about Strider and his coming back and not being able to pitch at, let's say, 100% of what he's used to. That, to me, is a key, because you expect so much out of Strider, but you got to understand that he's been through a lot, and he doesn't really know how to pitch at 95 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Once he learns how to do that, I think the Braves will be much better, because their rotation really is pretty darn good. The starting staff is pretty good, but they got to get connected with all of the facets of the game at the same time to get clear of this 500 mark.
I want to dive a little bit more in on Spencer Strider. Big return, one of the best pitchers in baseball pre-injury, but dealt with a big arm surgery and then on the IL a little bit with his hamstring injury, but he returned Tuesday. Um, Tough go of it. Velo down, as you mentioned, around the 95 mile an hour mark. Command was off. He didn't look good. How do you evaluate it when guys come off of injury? And I don't know if you specifically watched his start, but the numbers, velo was down, command was off, didn't look super sharp. How do you evaluate guys when they're returning from big injuries?
Well, and like we've talked about a million times, these guys don't have a chance to pitch unless they're at 100%. They've been brainwashed to throw a certain amount of pitches in the zone because they have unhittable stuff when they're locked in. I just think you're doing him a big disservice. And he has never really been a command guy. It's not like we're sitting here going, he can paint the corners. He can throw a fastball right in that box and be hard to hit when it's 99 to 100 miles an
Yeah.
hour. And I feel like I'm a broken record that now they have to be able to, on the job, learn quickly how, when they don't have their best stuff, how do they pitch? They've never been given the opportunity to pitch. So this is a big transition for Spencer Strider. He's been through it once. He came back. They signed him quickly to a big contract, I guess anticipating he would never get hurt again. And now we'll find out what version of Spencer Strider. I think by the end of the year, he's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
But it's going to take some time to learn how you can't miss in the middle of the zone when you don't have the extra hop. And you can't just think you're going to get away with and generate. See, what makes him great, he doesn't have to generate excessive forces to throw 100. But now he might be forcing velocity that ordinarily he wouldn't have to do. And that's a problem if that's what he's doing.
Yeah, so you hope look, he's used to throwing 99 to 100 miles an hour. You see him coming back, velo down in his first start back off the IL around 95. So are you saying what you hope you don't see out of him is, oh, this start didn't go well and my velo is down. I need to force that velo back up a little bit.
Yeah, or put him in a situation where he doesn't pitch as much until he gets that back. See,
Yeah.
when you've had and again, don't misrepresent what I'm saying like training wheels, but when you've had training wheels on and you've had this luxury for most of your career and you take those training wheels off and you don't have what you normally are used to, it's tough.
Yeah.
But that's not what this generation has been given the tools to do. And so it's going to take some time. It's going to take 3 to 4 starts. Rehab starts don't do it. Big league starts do it. He will figure it out. But the narrative, imagine pitching with the narrative, why is your velocity down? Why? You're answering questions that you're not used to answering. And I think that is going to be the mental gymnastics he has to play and navigate till he gets comfortable and trusting his body, trusting his arm, and trusting the stuff that he has.
On the other side of things, I want to talk about Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's been phenomenal. Once again, incredible on Tuesday night when he pitched against the Diamondbacks. He has a 1.86 ERA this year. He's been dynamite all year long. So, John, what I want to ask you is, what have you seen from him really between year one, where he was really good with all the transitions that come from NPB to Major League Baseball, from year one to year two, where he's been phenomenal, close to best pitcher in baseball type of stuff? What's the big change been for you?
Well, I watched last year his moments in the first time in the postseason. I saw severe adjustments from game to game. That to me showed me all I needed to know. He turned it up. His first game against the Yankees, I think he was electric. He has the ability to go to that next level. So what I saw was gears and the ability to manipulate the baseball in crucial situations. I think he's electric. I think he is adapted now to this style of pitching. He's by far their best pitcher. And guess what? There's another guy that hasn't pitched yet that is going to give him a run for his money if they let him, and that's obviously the greatest player in Ohtani. But I think that what I saw last year made me realize he's a frontline stud that will eventually learn that once every 7 days is not normal. He'll get to once every 6, and then you'll see the once every 5 stuff return. They had a big adjustment to make when you come over here.
Yeah.
They've given them the one every 7 for a while. Now they're transitioning back to, less rest, and I think he's adapted to it. The baseball, the style of days off, and I just don't know. I just don't know what would rattle him anymore after what he went through last year.
Have you felt that baseball? We hear the change in baseball from MPB to Major League Baseball. Obviously, any change as a pitcher in the baseball you throw to home plate is going to be a big deal. But have you personally felt that difference?
I did one time. I felt the tackiness of, oh my gosh, this is a great ball to throw. It comes right out of the package. It's ready to go. I know that that's been an issue in our sport, why we can't figure that out, and I think we should. And I think it is a little bit different. Shoot, AAA balls for the longest time were different. AA balls. I think making that adjustment is bigger than people think. When you've gripped a baseball your whole life and thrown over a million pitches, you know the difference between big, small, slick, tacky, and it definitely is definitely an adjustment.
It's about a quarter of the way through the year, so I know it's really early, but we're talking Yamamoto. Where is he in terms of the NL Cy Young conversation? Could you see him winning this thing?
I do if they give him the full complement of games. Now that's going to be the Dodgers' MO come the stretch run. If they're in a chase like for the division title, which I still believe will be hard to do for those teams down the end, I've no doubt he's the front runner. And we've already seen that you only have to get a certain amount of starts and a certain amount of innings to get a Cy Young. So it's not like you need to get 200 innings. But I think he's the front runner. He's definitely on the right team. He's going to have all the complementing run support that you would think would accomplish a lot of wins. So yes, he is by far the front runner.
John, last one for you. Again, about a quarter of the way through the year. If you were to sit down today and put together some power rankings, who's at the top of that list in Major League Baseball right now?
Man, this is one thing nobody could have predicted with the Tigers having the run they've had a couple days ago, the best record in baseball. Yep. I think they're in the top 5 for sure. I think the Tigers are now a serious threat in the American League. The power rankings of the Dodgers with all their injuries, I'd still put them as number 1. They got 14 guys. They're waiting to come back. And you think just half of them come back, they're going to be dynamic. I never thought they would be starting guys that only go 1 or 2 innings and then putting, combo starters in. Never thought that was going to be the case. So given all that, I still got the Dodgers at number 1. I think the Philadelphia Phillies are still one of the best teams in the National League. You can make the argument that 3 of the best 4 teams are in the National League, power ranking wise. But look, I mean, the American League Central, I got the Yankees at number 2. I got the Tigers at number 3. You could flip-flop that and feel good about it. But whatever it is right now, it ultimately is going to change because of the health impact, lack of it, or the health of a club. And so when it comes down to it, we have a 5-team power ranking that you have interchangeable positions that I think at any time you could make a claim. The Central in the American League was not supposed to have 4 teams, and especially the 4th team win 13 games in a row and still be 5 or 6 games out of first place. The Guardians still doing what they're doing. And then, oh, by the way, Kansas City Royals and their run last year. So the Central is stealing the kind of the thunder in the American League right now.
Absolutely. And Yankees after the Subway Series, a bit of a statement there after losing all the headlines to Soto, and their plan B this offseason turned out to be better than plan A in that series, and they looked really good there. So the American League is all of a sudden starting to look a little bit better than it did a month or so ago, and that's big time because of what the Tigers are doing there in the AL Central as well. John, always appreciate it, man. Always a lot of fun.
My pleasure. See you next week.
All right. See you next week. All right, just wanted to thank John for joining us here on the show. Always one of my favorite parts of the baseball season is being able to talk to John Smoltz every single week. It always means so much to me being able to have him on. I truly love it. For 15 or so minutes a week, it really does mean a lot, especially for a guy growing up an Atlanta Braves fan. But good to talk to him about the Braves. I tend to agree. I have the Atlanta Braves as a World Series team. We'll see what happens. Obviously, the really slow start, but are they now a playoff team? And then if you can get in, who knows? John thinks yes. I still think yes as well. Yamamoto, the Yamamoto conversation was interesting. First thing he said, he's got a lot of gears to kick it into high gear, and then he just makes a lot of adjustments. And I can absolutely see that out on the field. Yamamoto has been absolutely incredible. So a lot of fun conversations with John this week. I really appreciate you all for listening. As always, it does mean a ton. Again, please make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen. If you're on podcast, hit that follow, subscribe button right now. It does really help. And if you're watching or haven't, you can go to our YouTube channel and watch. Flippin' Bats Pod is our YouTube channel. Hit that like, subscribe button, and comment on this video. I love talking to you guys. I love hopping in the comments and knowing what you think. So if you're watching right now, type a comment what you thought of the episode, or if you disagree or agree with something. And I love having conversations with you guys. So it means a ton. Follow along on all our social media channels as well, at Flippin' Bats Pod everywhere, to keep up to date and see some fun videos. But that does it for this episode with John Smoltz. Really appreciate it. The weekend of baseball is right around the corner. Some great matchups coming up this weekend, and we will be back soon to talk about every single thing that happened. I appreciate you all as always, and remember, find your bat and flip it. Peace.